First by the Huns, second by Gauda, a nearby king, and the third time by the worst man. That was Khalji, Bakhtiyar Khalji. He is a Turco-Afghan. So he invaded India under the command of Ghori, and in 1197 he chanced to come there, Bakhtiyar Khilji, to Nalanda Mahavihara. He set fire. There were 3 million books. 90,000 sadhus or bhikkhus, they were burned alive. That was the vandalism. Now also they burn people. That's what happened. Prophet Muhammad himself did that. For 800 people he has done with the third Jewish tribe. 800 people were lined and their heads were cut. Tanse Zoda. Sir Zoda. So this type of thing, so the destruction of the centers of knowledge, centers of culture, is characteristic of all Vandals, of all those who invaded India. And it was sometimes only once or twice imitated by Indian kings, once in Kashmir and another time here in Nalanda even. Friends, this is the story of how the universities, centers of learning, and Nalanda was so very famous. The third time it was revived. After the second destruction, when it was revived, Fahian, the Chinese traveler to India, he came and he gave a tremendous description of what is there. So we are inheritors to that one. People from far and wide used to come there. If you talk of Korea, what is the common name there? Kim. Kim is a common name. North Korea's ruler is also a Kim. What is the story about? A princess of Ayodhya was married by a Korean who came to India to learn something or the other. So that's why all the Kims in Korea, north and south, they trace their origin to Ayodhya princess. Salute her. So this is the greatness of India. Now, universities. It was Dr. APJ Kalam who said that this Nalanda must be revived. Dr. Kalam, of course, a great educationist as well as a scientist as well as everything he was. Purna Purusha he was. Now, unfortunately, the first vice chancellor was the poverty guru. Who is that? Amartya Sen. Poverty guru. Daridra Narayan he lifts upwards. All his writings, all his Nobel Prize was only in praise of the poor, just like Jesus said, the poor will inherit the earth, and Muhammad has capacitated all the poor. You go on looting, one share for you, one share for me, etc., etc. Now, this university was hijacked by the leftists under the aegis of Amartya Sen. It has to be rescued. Who else could do that one? Where is that great lady, Sunaina? Sunaina was chosen. What for? Her record of work in English and foreign languages university here in Hyderabad, when some leftist intellectuals wanted to invade, said, get out. We have no permission to come here. That was the guts that she had. Going by rule, the intellectual integrity, this is a seat of learning, this is not a seat of agitation. That's what she said. Now it is these qualities and her excellence in punditry, that is what qualified her. She was given a mission. You have to rebuild, restart that university as a great beacon of knowledge and message, to be a Vishwaguru. Shankaracharya was Jagat Guru. Can Bharat become once again a Vishwaguru? And what does it require? I submit to you and to you, and the elders, we have got 42 central universities, each university teaching the same thing as the state university and the private university and other universities. Why do we need them? What we need are national universities. National universities. Nationalism is not a done thing. Nationalism has to be constantly invoked, instilled in the people, generation after generation. Kolabri K.M. Munshi, founder of the Bharati Vidya Bhavan, wrote a small book called The Warnings of History. In that he says, it is the dominant intellectuals who set the pace for a nation. The dominant intellectuals. So it is the duty of the intellectuals to understand what is nationalism, and the nationalism, if there is an earthquake in somewhere in any corner of India, Bharat, will the whole of India react or not? That is the test of nationalism. Hamdardi, Bhartritva, that is brotherhood, these are to be instilled incessantly. So the Mahavihara, Nalanda, to be transformed into a university which shall become the base to produce intellectuals from near and far, not only from Bharat. She would tell you from how many countries, how many people came, from Mongolia, Myanmar, Indonesia, Malaysia, Korea, Cambodia, Ruchira Kamboji is our permanent representative in the United Nations, so Ruchira Cambodia. So many nations coming, of what for? To partake of the wisdom, not only knowledge. Information transformed into knowledge. Knowledge plus experience becomes wisdom. That is the wisdom that has to be there and disseminated throughout the world. And Sunaina ji has, during her 6 years term, done a wonderful job. Not only physical restoration of that university, she will give you some examples, but the intellectual and the spiritual restoration of Nalanda as a beacon of light. That's what she has done in the last 6 years. We are fortunate. As soon as she landed in Hyderabad from Nalanda, she got in touch with me. I said, sister, now you have a duty. Tell us what you have done and how you rescued that university from the poverty philosophers. Thank you. And all of us shall join her in her mission to spread that message. And I am appealing to all the elders here and others. What we want are national universities, not central universities. Let the central university be there. We had about 30 universities at the time of independence. Now there are more than 1,100 universities. But some of them are good for nothing. Therefore, education, Vidya, that I was telling her, I studied in Loyola College, Chennai. His motto was, Lucit lux vestra, let thine light shine forth. There is light in anyone now. There is light in everybody. That should be kindled. Dhiyo yo naha prachodayat Sharmaji. Dhiyo yo naha prachodayat. That's what is necessary. And our university shall be transformed. We shall hear Sunaina ji speak to us. Now I will hand over to my colleague.
Thank you, Chaudhary ji, for your enlightening advice and guidance. Now I want to introduce our other guest, K. Padmanabhaya Garu. Yes, of course. K. Padmanabhaya ji is a retired Indian civil servant and a former Home Secretary of India. He is the chairman of the Court of Governors of Administrative Staff College of India and has headed many government committees such as the Committee on Police Reforms, the Committee on Reorganization of the Services Selection Board, and committee to review the working of National Institute of Urban Management. Prior to assuming the chair of the Police Reforms Committee, Padmanabhaya ji had a stint as the government representative for the settlement of the ethnic conflict in Nagaland in 1997. The Government of India awarded him the third highest civilian honor of Padma Bhushan in the year 2008 for his contributions to the Indian civil service. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar to everybody. I really have nothing to contribute in this meeting. I came to the meeting because I wanted to listen to her, what she has to say about Nalanda, and also about the subject of, what did you call, Vishwaguru. I entirely agree with our speaker, that we must understand what is this Vishwaguru business. What are its dimensions? What is it? Is it possible, not possible? Who should do what? And all those things. So I am more of a learner. So I am just not going to speak anything. I am here only as a owner of this building, you know. So I wanted to provide this facility to you. And the moment my old friend, Hanuman Chaudhary Garu, I have known him for about more than 60 years, around 60 years I have known him. So we worked together in Bombay, and so out of respect to him, I said, yes, you are most welcome. Only thing is, I wanted to say one thing. Vishwaguru, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody, but one must speak out, no, what one has. Vishwaguru is good, but Vishwaguru title has to be given to us by outsiders, not by ourselves. You know, we can't say, I am a Vishwaguru, you know, so I am going to do something. So people should recognize you as a Vishwaguru, you know. So that's why you have to do certain things. Now, what is the area of Vishwaguru? What are its dimensions? Of course, they would say. But already we are somewhere there on a few aspects. You have seen the other day, yoga has become one of the most common ones, you know, in the entire world. In the UN, he has done it. He has spoken in the joint session of the Congress about yoga, and the speaker said, I also follow yoga, you know, he said that. And the second one, what we have done is, the Indian music and Indian films also have a tremendous impact, you know. Earlier days, our good friends of the Russians, you know, they used to praise our movies and all that. And not only that, in the Middle East, in certain other countries, either there were the dictators' photos there, or the photos of Amitabh Bachchan or somebody else, you know. So that type of reach we had. So that is another thing which we can revive. A third one is the Sanskrit language. I've seen people all over the world, especially from Europe, Germany, Poland, so many, any country, they're so fond of Sanskrit, you know. They're reciting Sanskrit slokas much better than our children do. And some unknown ones also. And I have a big collection of those things, you know, sung by these people. So there is a revival of interest in Sanskrit. And they also say that in the AI, I mean, IT business, it's an ideal language, Sanskrit. So there is no misunderstanding of what it means and all that. So I think promotion of Sanskrit language as a world language, I think could be another area, you know, where one can explore. And then one more thing is peacekeeping in the world. We have done a lot of that one. Everybody knows. Wherever there is a conflict, so we send our peacekeeping forces. After the event is over, after peace is, sort of peace agreement is signed, then civil administration has to go. The first one we did was Bangladesh. It's not the first one, locally. A number of my colleagues, immediately after Bangladesh was sort of liberated, they went as collectors of various districts. I don't know whether you were asked to go. But later entrant. But we went and we established a peaceful government there and came back. And this is another area where I think our skills can be shown, you know. So that's what I wanted to mention. Then one more thing is, while talking about the Vishwaguru, we keep on harping about our past. Our Vedas have said this, something else has done. Wonderful. I mean, you must live, you must respect your past. That is an inspiration for the future. So there is no doubt at all about your commitment to the past and all that. But the point is, just repeating ad nauseum, oh, our past is so great and all that, it doesn't take you anywhere. You know, in Telugu, there is a saying, Ma tatalu netul dinnaru ani cheppesi. But for us, there is nothing. So get some lessons out of that. You know, there was so much of science in those days. We say Pushpak Viman, you know, somebody flew there. And then Charaka has done this, and somebody else has done this. You know, all those names we say. And Aryabhatta and all these things. Now follow their leads. Let there be some proper research on these things. Whatever is available, everything may not be available, but whatever is available, can you draw some lessons out of that? Can you develop some other theories? So we seem to have become, in a way, copycats. As somebody, you know, we take great pride in saying, we are the largest users of WhatsApp in the world. We are the greatest users of YouTube. We are the greatest users of something else. Okay, you are the greatest users, but these are not done by you. They are done by somebody else. What is so great about using it, you know? That doesn't give you any credit to say I am the world's largest user of this one. If I have discovered something, yes, that is something else. So I think that scientific spirit should be inculcated based on our past. So that is another point I wanted to mention. Then one more thing where we can, Vishwaguru role can be done. May I have your attention, please? So, one more thing I wanted to mention is our philosophy. Our basic philosophy says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world. And that is a very, very, very important message. Shri Modi has mentioned it in this one also. Now, people are talking about environment and then sustainability and all these things. I think this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is very, very important there. How do you preserve ecology? And then the sort of proper exploitation of the natural resources, sustainability and all these things. I think we can play a tremendous role based on that particular philosophy. I think these are the areas where I think we should concentrate, you know. Then, yes, they would call you Vishwagurus, you know, everybody would try to call you. One more thing I wanted to mention is I was seeing her, this one. She is the Vice Chairman of the Indian Council for Cultural Affairs. Now, I always felt that the entire Southeast Asia is completely sort of, in a way, influenced by the Indian culture. Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, then Indonesia. All these countries, there is tremendous influence in two things. One is our architecture and religion and all that. You know, each country has got its own version of Ramayana. Slight modifications. Somewhere Hanuman is sort of the chief one. Somewhere else, somebody else is more important and all that. But with variations, they are there. Do you know, we always have some mottos for our, this one. Tejasvana Vadita Mastu, my universities, this one, you know, symbol used to be there. Like that, if you take the government organizations in Indonesia, their air force, their military, their something else and all that, most of them are even today Sanskrit. Their mottos, they may not understand that. Their national airways is Garuda. So, there is a lot of influence there. I don't think we have politically used that influence, you know. The reason perhaps is they are much poorer countries than India. So I think we don't really sort of think of encouraging them and growing them. There was one prime minister called Gujral, I.K. Gujral. He had a theory. It's called Gujral doctrine. The doctrine simply is, he said, it's not enough that you are sort of rich and you are good, you are developed. All your neighbors also must be developed. If they are not developed, they would eye you. I mean, they want to sabotage you. They say, why is this fellow growing, and we are all in poverty. So help them to the extent possible. Give them airline connection, give them petrol. We had an incident where Nepal king had some problem with us. So we stopped petrol supplies to them. It is a landlocked country, Can you imagine doing this? So I think we should not be doing this. So the point is, I wanted to mention, the smaller countries, I think, have much to contribute. One is cultural affairs. The second one is textiles. Our Indian textile, sculpture and all those things are there. But drawn from that, our Indian textiles had a tremendous market and influence there in the Southeast Asian countries. And I think we should focus on that. These are some of the ideas I have. And basically, as I said, well, that is it. One more thing is, I think Indians' respect to women, notwithstanding the patronage of patriarchal society and all that, but things have changed. Today, Prime Minister has said, it is not development of the women, it is a woman-led development that is taking place in India. That's what he said, woman-led development. And he quoted the rocket science, the DRDO and various other things. So, the importance we should give to women as a part of the society, I think that is another area where India can play a role, in convincing the others. I mean, these are some of the areas I thought I would mention, but essentially, I am a novice in this particular area. I came to listen to her, and thank you for listening to this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmanabhai Garu. Now I'll take a couple of minutes to introduce our speaker, Professor Sunaina Singh. Professor Sunaina Singh is a widely acclaimed and prominent academic leader of higher education in South Asia region. As an acclaimed scholar of comparative literature, cultural studies and education policy, she has had a long and distinguished career in academia and has made significant contributions to higher education in India and overseas. As the Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, a globally acclaimed historical university under the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Professor Singh is credited to her leadership and vision in the task of rebuilding the renowned ancient Nalanda University. The Oxford Union has conferred the honorary professorship in 2020 in recognition of her contribution in promoting Indian higher education and Indian culture. She is also a recipient of several prestigious awards such as Ambassador of Peace by the Universal Peace Federation, a global network of peace builders in the year 2022 in South Korea. Under her leadership, Nalanda University has been recognized and acknowledged with many awards. Most Inspiring Leaders Making a Difference in India was awarded by Knowledge Review in the year 2023. As a distinguished scholar administrator, Professor Singh continues to play a key role as a member designate on several boards of distinguished national and international institutions. She currently serves as the board of the advisory council or executive boards of more than 20 central institutions, including the prestigious Indian Institute of Advanced Study, Shimla. She continues to play a key role in actualizing the NEP mandate in several institutions. As a professor of literature and comparative culture, Usmania University, few academicians can match her scholarship, integrity, intellectual caliber, and dedication to teaching, research, and governance. As a visiting professor at several reputed universities abroad, she has played a crucial role in drawing the attention of the West towards Indian culture and literature. What motivates her in her endeavor in life is the persona of her guru and father, Professor Satyanarayan Singh himself, a value-driven scholar and a humanist with innate compassion. She touches many hearts and inspires many minds. A highly accomplished and dynamic academician and leader, she continues to win accolades and awards even now. We are honored to have you here, Sunaina ji.
Chairman ASCI, Padma Bhushan, Padmanabhaya ji, Chairman, you could do it. Chairman Pragna Bharati, Hanuman Chaudhary Saab, Shirish ji, President Pragna Bharati, distinguished guests. We have the Chief Secretary, Telangana Government, Mr. Joshi here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar to all of you. Namaskar. I'm honored to be here on this podium. Before I begin, I just want to tell you that there is a presentation which I'm not going to make, while I would request the organizers to just play it so that you could look at it as we move. So I'm not going to restrict myself with that. It just gives you a preview into the work that I have done at Nalanda and what does it mean to be in the university such as Nalanda, which was known as Vishwaguru. We will get into that a little later on. I don't want to trouble. Yeah. So let me move forward with the permission of the chairperson here. What I plan to do this evening is to take you through the story of Nalanda, the Vishwaguru, how it was built and its journey, its trajectory of 8 centuries, and how it was destroyed. And then the revival of Nalanda and the subversion of Nalanda in 2010 for a while, until the present government took over charge in 2014, where concerted effort was made to change the very paradigm and look at Nalanda yet again as Vishwaguru. 2017, I took over in the summer of, peak of summer, I should say, 15th of May, I took over the charge of Nalanda as Vice Chancellor, thanks to Sushma Swaraj, the Honorable former Minister, External Affairs, a lady who I bow down due to her immense scholarship, be it Sanskrit, Hindi, English, and her erudition, and the people-to-people connect. You know, she was pursuing me for 2 years before that to come and join Nalanda. And like a novice, and also I was too involved with trying to cleanse up English and foreign languages university here and to recreate the academic infrastructure here. So I kept declining the offer purely because it was in Bihar. One. The other important reason was my mother was alive, and I thought it would not be right to leave when she was over 75 or 78. And I told her, ma'am, if I leave, my mother will get a heart attack, so kindly excuse me. So she was taken aback and she said, I've had so many people and the recommendations coming from right from PMO and President for this post, and you are offered and you decline. I said, very humbly, I apologized, and I said, well, I may not be able to take it up. And then there was another offer that I could live in Delhi and run the, to which I declined again. If I do take it up, it will be Rajgir. Rajgir was originally Rajgriha, the capital of Mauryan Empire. So it was in towards the end when I was offered the second term in EFLU. I was called again by Sushma Swaraj ma'am and Pranab Mukherjee ji. Both were sitting there and literally reprimanding me for saying no, and the former president said, this is your opportunity to rebuild and we believe you can do it. I think those words changed my mindset. The kind of faith they had in the leadership that I had. He said, you are a transformative leader. This is what he said at that point. And that was too much pressure on me. and one couldn't decline an offer like that. So, peak of summer, I took up the position. There were 136 applications for the, and they called 5 people, and we had high-level interactions. I was in Athens giving a talk, and I get a call from Delhi and said, "Madam, you cannot say no because Prime Minister has given a green signal. So kindly make your travel from Athens to Dubai to Delhi and not Hyderabad so that you can come and join." And that was again too much pressure. Now, the reason why I'm giving you this biographical note is that when you head an institution like Nalanda, it comes with a great responsibility. It's an institution that was known as a Vishwaguru, a title perhaps given by the world to India per se. Because India was known for its knowledge tradition. India was known for its wisdom. T.S. Eliot mourned the beginning of 20th century. He lamented, where is the wisdom we have lost in quest of knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in quest of information? And where is life we have lost in living? I think this adage by T.S. Eliot has always moved me to think about Indian culture per se. And my MPhil way back, my father kept saying that you should publish it. It was on Indian culture, where I did an extensive reading on Upanishads and Vedas at that point of time. And I thought this is the time to get back to the knowledge tradition. India has been declining, rejecting, or has been shy of accepting its glorious past, its glorious knowledge traditions. Macaulay came and changed the entire ethos. And he said, this is a country where there's no robbery, where there's no, lowly mindset. The only way to dismantle the nation is to take away its knowledge, to degrade the knowledge tradition. And that is what, various rulers, be it the British or the Islamic rules that we had over India, continuously dismantled our self-esteem. So my role, therefore, was to rebuild Nalanda and to regain that past glory and the self-esteem for the nation. So let's look at what is happening today, and in that context place Nalanda, because we live in an era of great turmoil and transition. It's an era where old certitudes are lost. There is a need to create a new paradigm, perhaps the concept of Vishwaguru. If you look at our Prime Minister being hosted by the US President, it sort of elevates us in our thinking that India has yet again, the way he is held by both Mr. and Mrs. Biden, both hands, and trying to lead. And I thought that was symbolic. They are actually taking the help of India to move forward, if you look at it in another way. Because India has made a mark for itself in many, many ways. And, its knowledge tradition and its wisdom has been so strong, even if we have lost our texts in Nalanda. Now let's come to Nalanda. Nalanda is made of 3 words. Na, alam, da. That is, no stopping the flow of knowledge. It's also a symbol of lotus. Lotus is again a symbol of knowledge and wisdom, purity. And that's what Nalanda was. In my own words, I would look at it as a continuous flow of Vidyadan that we look at in our own tradition. Because Vidya is something that needs to be given. And that's the Vidyadan. We don't look at what we get in return. It's all about giving. And that aspect of Vidyadan, I thought, is very, very essential. So my first document that I had to send to both Sushma ji and Pranab Mukherjee ji, they said, can you write a paper and send on your vision of Nalanda, envisioning Nalanda? And that's what I said. I said in that document, 1 or 2 lines that if I recall correctly, I said, wherever Buddha traversed, seeds of knowledge grew, you know. And India was a beacon of knowledge and hope. Hope. Beacon of knowledge, hope, and peace. The 3 things, you know, these are the trinity that attracted the world over. Padmanabhaya Sahab was just talking about how India, you know, the Indian imagination was completely absorbed by East Asian and Asian nations. You know, there are 300 versions of Ramayana alone in East Asia. There are 300 versions, not 1 or 2. I've got somebody to do PhD on that, you know. What are these variations of Ramayana? Why is it that Ramayana and Mahabharata still continue to capture our imagination? It's because of the eternal truths. It's about the humanity. So that kind of a thing. If you look at Thailand, all the kings are named as Ram 1, Ram 2. You know, you look at the Cambodia, which was Kampuchea earlier. There as well, you look at any nation, Vietnam, Indonesia, they tell us that by culture we are Hindus, by religion we are Muslims. You know, by culture we are Hindus. And you find all their names are in Sanskrit. Sanskrit used to rule, and the entire East Asia would would know Sanskrit. Their names, you go to any part of Vietnam, to Korea, to Kampuchea, or you know, Cambodia, or you travel to China as well. Hu Shi, the ambassador, said, without stepping into China, India has captured the imagination of China for 20 centuries. That was the spiritual tradition that continued to, you know, overpower nations across. So when you look at Nalanda, we have 17 countries that have joined together to re-establish Nalanda. Why was it so essential to revive and re-establish Nalanda? We go back. You know, these were small viharas where the spiritual ethos was taught, the Buddhist philosophy, the Vedas, Upanishads, the defense studies, astronomy, mathematics, logic, all these were taught. Kumar Gupta I, you know, he institutionalized the academic viharas that came together, and he called it Nalanda Mahavihara. Students from 98 countries came to learn at Nalanda, which is no mean task. I used to take great deal of pride just before I stepped out, because in 3 or 4 years, despite COVID, I have students from over 38 countries. And I've always said, you know, when I took over, even till I stepped out, many people, the first question they ask is, how many students do you have? I think my presentation, if you go earlier, I said, don't look at the number of students. Because, you know, we are giving an intellectual capital to the world. How well do we train them? Are institutions doing that? Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab just spoke about national universities. What are we training our youngsters in? So my answer to this question, how many students, I would always say, I wish you had asked me how many courses were there. Are the courses meaningful? Do they have any relevance for next 20, 30 years? You know? Because we live in a world today where things are being captured by the Western ethos, you know, by, I generally give this anecdote from Narkunda C.V. Ramanji when he was traveling from London to Mumbai, in a ship named Narkunda. When he boarded, he had a small prism with him with which he wanted to counter. He did not believe Raleigh's view that the sea is blue because it reflects the sky. He was countering that. And through the journey, with no instruments, no lab, he studied. And when he came, he published a paper, sent to Nature, the magazine, the journal that's published from New York. And much later you find that it was on his discovery of this that he was given Nobel Prize. So this is very significant. Why am I saying that? Today information is available at a click of a mouse. But we have lost the knowledge tradition. We have lost the wisdom. We have lost the power to reflect. Because Indian tradition was known as reflective tradition, where you need to reflect on things. When you study something, Saraswati has both the rosary beads and a book. The book is knowledge. The rosary bead will tell you that you need to reflect. The more you reflect, the more you reflect, the veena, the synchronization, the music of knowledge happens. And that was the reflective tradition, and we need to look at that. And in this journey, two things that inspired me was one, that what Vivekananda ji said, that every nation has a destiny of its own, and India has a destiny of a Vishwaguru, of building peace. When we look at ethos today, India represents that. Conflict resolution, how do we build peace? We still stand for that. So every nation has a destiny to fulfill. It has its own mission. And the other thing is man-making education that he spoke about. Because lokah samastha sukhino bhavantu, when we say that, our knowledge tradition is all about how do we elevate man. How do we, because it was not about creating your profile, your CV. Deresevich is a scholar. He has written a book in 2014. He himself comes from top Harvard and Columbia, and he put down those universities and said they are not teaching human values. He called them, the book is called Excellent Sheep, the loss of individuality, human values. So we are teaching our youngsters how to run after information, how to create their own profile without dwelling on introspective or reflective traditions that we had. So if I come back to Nalanda and look at what Kumaragupta I did, and thereafter we had number from Kannauj, the kings, the patronization by different monarchs, including Shailendra dynasty, in the Far East. China again sent scholars to translate from Sanskrit the texts. Xuanzang, or Hyun Sang as we know him. He carried a number of books back to China after studying and teaching at Nalanda. He said, this knowledge is unparalleled in the world, and we need to learn from it. And they had actually put scholars to translate Sanskrit texts into Chinese, and they spent a lot of money on that. So for 8 centuries, Nalanda continued in its journey of teaching integrated courses, something that we talk about today, but still don't do it, because mathematics and logic, astronomy, Vedas and Upanishads, the Shastras and Shastra, the defense studies, all these grammar, linguistics, was all taught there as integrated studies, These were not different subjects. These were all integrated. So what I have done in the present Nalanda is again to develop a cafeteria model and integrate the subjects, everything. And we have very inventive academic architecture that I have created, where we have environment and ecology, we have historical studies, and I said we better do away with ancient history, the middle history and the modern. Let's look at the cultural history of East Asia, cultural history of India, the knowledge traditions that we have, you know. And I brought in a course called Learning from the Ruins, because what you have of ancient Nalanda today are the ruins. यह खंडहर उनका जिसका जग कभी दास और शिष्य था. This is Dinkar who said that. यह खंडहर उनका जग जब इसका दास और शिष्य था. You know, it's so beautifully put. And I thought, I looked at Dinkar again, a poet coming from Bihar. He says that मानव जब ठान लेता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है. So when I went to Nalanda, there was nothing except 2 classrooms as porta cabins. You understand what a porta cabin is? The temporary 2 classrooms. There was no toilet. It was worse than a middle school or a primary school. In fact, one of our very well-known friend in Hyderabad said, "Ma'am, it does not befit your stature. You shouldn't take it up." You know, when the first offer came. So I looked at it, I was wondering, what am I doing in Bihar if this is what is there as in the name of Nalanda? So the journey of revival began, but I thought that if we do not risk, we fail. We need to take, you know, challenges up and turn them around and show to the world what is. If you go down, you will see some pictures of Nalanda today. You know, those are the pictures. This is Sushma Swaraj Auditorium, where I hold Dharma Dham conference every year, because that connects the world with India. Dharyate iti dharma. You need to, you know, dharan karna jo hai, you need to absorb your dharma, and that has been the primary objective of Nalanda. The spiritual tradition will connect the world yet again, because the spiritual tradition is all about harmony and peace. It's about coming together, how we can live together as equal partners in a journey of progress and development. So when I looked at Nalanda, I was wondering, why was it destroyed? Because in my journey from Patna to Nalanda is a district. Rajgir is a small, used to be the capital of Mauryan Empire, Rajgriha, but a small, tiny village kind of a thing, very rural. Nothing there, barring a school kind of a institution called the Great Nalanda. And I looked at the places that I was traversing, and we had Bhaktiyarpur station, Bhaktiyarpur, you know, small town there, named after Bhaktiyar Khilji, the so-called great man that the left intellectuals still uphold. I was also told that he has not destroyed Nalanda, while history says something else, you know. So the kind of narratives that were built were problematic there. And he, Ratna Gunj, the library that Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab was mentioning, it's a 9-story library. Dharm Gunj is Mountain of Truth. It had 3 buildings, Ratna Sagar, Ratna Dadati, and Ratna Rajanka or something like that. And the 3 housed about over millions of books. And they say that it burned for over 6 months. And he killed the monks, the bhikshuks, the students, and it kept burning. But if you go today to the ruins, you feel that this was an institution that has been continuously praised all through the history. It lasted for 8 centuries. Kumar Guptaman institutionalized it. After 8 centuries, it was burnt down. At the peak of Nalanda, it's believed that 10,000 students, 2,000 teachers, a number of courses. The Dwarpal, today we have something called entrance. The Dwarpal of Nalanda was an erudite scholar, and the scholars seeking admission had to satiate, satisfy the knowledge of Dwarpal in Sanskrit, in value system, in astronomy, in mathematics, in logic, numerous questions. And unless they satisfied the Dwarpal, the admission would not be given. They could not enter the portals of Nalanda. So that was the eminence of Nalanda. Just imagine, 8 centuries after its destruction, in East Asia summit in 2007 and then 9, it was decided, the Singapore foreign minister said that it's time to look at Nalanda again, because Nalanda will connect India to the world. What a great saying. And around the same time, 2006, before the East Asian Summit, APJ Abdul Kalam ji, what a great man. And we had the honor of having him as President of India. And he said that it's time to revive. It would be the Renaissance of India. You know, it will be the revival of, so you revive Nalanda and it would happen that way. And he said, it is in this institution that religion should be transformed into spirituality. Yeah, this is very significant. And he said, knowledge needs to be not just disseminated, but created. So that kind of a ethos. And if you look at our own East Asian religions, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Hinduism, the ism is transported. It's been given to us. Whereas Christianity and Islam has no ism there. If you notice, see how the narratives have been built. These are the philosophies. This is our belief. This is our knowledge tradition. And each stemming from the Hindu tradition, wisdom. It takes off from the Upanishads and the Vedas. And then it, you know, this is so very significant because in Vishnu Puran, you know, it said that knowledge liberates, you know. And that is what knowledge was supposed to do in Nalanda. It should liberate, it should elevate. Udaret Atmano Atmanam. You know, if you look at Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6.5, Krishna says that unless man learns to elevate himself, you know, because his mind would be his own enemy or friend, depending on how do you transform yourself. How do you keep elevating your persona, your thinking through the reflective tradition? So this became the goal of Nalanda. And 2010, the Indian Parliament instituted an act. It's called Nalanda Act. And the mandate was very important because no other university has this mandate, was to develop regional peace and harmony. No other institution has such a lofty goal. You know, all national institutions must have this. To, you know, regional peace and harmony. How to develop regional peace and harmony? For that, you need to go back to the repository of our knowledge. You know, how do we look at our knowledge tradition? What does our Upanishads, what do they say? Yesterday I was talking to Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab and I was telling him, when I started Sustainable Development and Management course, 2020, that's when the COVID was at its peak, we started this course, and today I find I have students from 38 countries. 80% of the students are international. When I went, there was one international student from one country. Today, so it's growing because of the courses. You know, Atharv Veda has 63 sukt on nature, environment, how, why, and it's so relevant to what is happening today. How we have, it says that if you lose respect for Mother Nature, you will lose it all. Life would come to an end. It's extremely relevant for today's time. I put this in Hindu studies and I said, teach it. You know, one of the most significant challenge in institution is to get faculty to reorient themselves. Alvin Toffler, I think he said that 21st century's illiterate will not be those who do not know how to read or write, but those who cannot unlearn, relearn. You know, so when I used to get employees from so-called central state universities, I used to tell them, I have learned to unlearn a lot of things and relearn. You need to unlearn, because unless you do that, you're not going to look at institutions from a transformative lens. And that is crucial. And that's where, you know, 2010 when Nalanda was created by an act of parliament, our famous argumentative Indian, he is the one, I think we debate peacefully, we don't argue. You know, he was at the helm as Chancellor of Nalanda. And he came in into 2007, much before the university was established. It was called Mentors Group, those who can mentor. And when I went in 2017. There was no academic ordinances. There were no statutes. Skeletal ones were there. There were no rules and regulations. There was no academic architecture, leave alone infrastructure. There hardly any, in the name of faculty, there were foreign PhD scholars, if you please, white skin PhD scholars. I don't take PhD scholars as faculty in the university. And I had to send them all away. I said, I'm sorry, you don't qualify to be my faculty. You know, I need people who are willing to learn. And that brought in a lot of criticism. And I had, even here, I had newspapers chasing me. And I told them, well, I'm not running the university from Delhi. So kindly, don't try and direct me. Because you don't know what Nalanda is today. We need to transform it. And therefore, you know, it's very hard to keep media away. But it's possible. Because you're looking at how do you create a new environment of wisdom, of future intellectual capital from across the world. I have students today from New Zealand, from America, from England, from Dutch, Norway, entire East Asia. The largest chunk comes from Vietnam and Bhutan. And most of them today enroll themselves for Hindu studies, masters in Hindu studies. This is a course that I started in 2021. You know, it's a course that I designed myself and created because I said our repository of knowledge needs to be taught again for the younger generation. You know, unless we know our past, we cannot lead a few. Look at any youngster today. All that they know about Indian culture or our mythologies from films or TV serials. You know, they don't know the stories and they don't know what our Upanishads were. What are the Vedas, the Vedantic tradition, what was it? It's very surprising. So I brought all that into Hindu studies, and today we have a large chunk of students capturing that area. Sustainable management has an ethical quotient also there. How do you look at strategic, building strategic relationships with East Asia? How do you look at peace and environment together. You know, Prime Minister Modi Sahab spoke about lifestyle for environment. You know, this is what I have done. This is, you see, 20 acres of solar farm, hybrid. If you go somewhere, approximately 25,000 tons of carbon dioxide saving on annual basis. So I looked at Adharveda and I said, we need to work on this. And today the campus is a laboratory. It's a lab for people to learn. So my students in environment and ecology and sustainable management, they study. And then we created 100 acres of water bodies. And I combined rainwater harvesting with water recharge. Ahar pine, the ancient Bihar this thing. And what we did was, if you go back to the buildings, the earth excavated, we made compressed bricks. We got the machinery from outside. We made our bricks, all the buildings in the background. If you just go somewhere, you will see. These are the bricks are made in-house. And these are 100 acres of water bodies that are created to last 18 months of buffer store of water is there for the university to cater to about 5,000 people eventually. So we need to look at how can we look at our own ancient systems and transform it, give it a contemporary twist, and create an environment where you train all the students from environment and ecology are immediately placed. Sustainable management, all international placements. Generally people ask me when they do Hindu studies and Buddhist studies, what do they do? Well, they spread peace. We need people like that too. They spread knowledge, they spread peace. Does everybody have to be in technology? I don't know, you know. We haven't done technology, and I think we have done very well too. While we do know the basics of it, it's important to look at knowledge afresh, anew. And that is what we have done. If you see those around, you'll be wondering what those are. Those are the discussion where the students can sit with the teachers among themselves. And this is the amphitheater that we have. And if you see, there's a closed one. You know what that is? That is for chanting. You know, the mantras, the Suk, Buddhist Suk and mantras, students sit and chant there. So we've created a new environment, a university, which I'm sure 10 years from now will be known. And I hope they have good leadership to take it forward in the same way and don't get somebody who will pull it down again. Because subversion of universities is happening everywhere. And that is the problem. You know, we don't have academic leaders who are willing to learn and relearn. We don't have academic leaders who say that I don't know and I want to learn. Because I find leaders or vice chancellors that I have interacted, they know it all. And I feel very sad about it because that stagnation has already started. So where is the scope to learn and grow? So me and myself has never been part of Indian culture. It has never been part of Indian culture. You know, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Where is humility? You know, this is very important, that the more the knowledge, the more you need to be, you know, go down in your own self and elevate oneself. Go down and then look at how you can transform the personality. So the experience has been tremendous. You know, it's been a learning time for me. Bihar has not been very welcoming because when I went there initially, I must share this anecdote. Our great Amartya Sen group had ensured that I don't stay there. So there was no accommodation for me for 4 months. And I kept looking, where do I stay? And I said, no, from day one, I'm going to stay here, whether you give me accommodation or not. So I booked myself into a hotel and stayed there for 4 months till I found a Sainik school library, which I transformed into a residence. and lived there for 2 years. Today, the house for Vice Chancellor that's created, it's almost like governor's house, befitting international image. I don't know who's going to be there, whether they deserve it or not, but I hope the very standard of international academics also is raised to that level. Because your environment, your infrastructure is very important. Because infrastructure, it's the soul of academics. Where do you house the soul? How do you keep cleansing it? How do you keep elevating it? You know, you need an environment that's befitting. And therefore, after a millennia, students have come back to live on the Nalanda campus. And unfortunately, I don't have the dining hall has a globe hanging down like the Jhumar here. And it's awesome. Anybody who's visiting, I don't have, there were 2 people who had come, one an IPS officer and the other are Justice Reddy ji. Both are not here. They would have told you how we have transformed the place. You can just keep moving, and if you have any questions, I will take there. You know, the other thing that I wanted to tell is that how India as the Vishwaguru, what is Vishwaguru? Vishwaguru is how do we come together and live in peace? How do we resolve our conflicts? How do we look at knowledge as wisdom? Because knowledge tradition, whether it is Guru Shishya Parampara or the Bodhisattva kind of a thing, it was all about development of man. It was a man-making education. So therefore, you know, the more we dwell on our Vishwaguru and take pride in it, how, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that our Honorable Prime Minister generally talks about, world as a family, that has been the ethos. It's not just Nalanda, India was a Vishwaguru. And today, the West, the East Asia have interacted with most of them overseas on universities and Indian pedagogy and Indian culture and values. They are amazed at the unending resilience of India. And I tell them, and when I see and we interact, India is still seen as solution center. It's a solution center. If you look at what has happened, the war, you know, everyone looks at India. India today is reckoned as one of the most advancing nation that can, in the globe, you know, the way we seem to be occupying the center stage. It's all about India providing solutions to the conflicts of the world. And that has come from our tradition of peace. It's a tradition of wisdom that we've had. I thought, I was just running around trying to give you snippets of what I have done at Nalanda past 6 years. The first year went in doing SWOT analysis. Within 3 months, I created an academic ordinance and also a kind of a framework that where, if you see the initial one, it was creating a world-class university. What are the challenges? Do you create infrastructure, then develop courses? No, courses have to come first and then. So I did all that. It took a long time, 18 to 20 hours a day, no Saturday, no Sunday, no Dashera, Deepavali. It was all about how do you create and recreate Nalanda. I think I was equally obsessed in cleansing up EFLU here and trying to bring in an ethos of humanity, you know, integrative humanity. That's what Vishwaguru is all about. With these few words, I think I will say Jai Hind, and if you have any questions, I'm willing to take. Yes, sir. Sorry? Countries, 38 countries, right from China to Mongolia to Cambodia, Vietnam. I have a long list from New Zealand, from America, from the forward belt as well as East Asia. The entire gamut, students coming from all over. Last year I got one African student on environment, but basically East Asia, Asian belt, and the West and Europe. There's an American student in England who's come from Oxford, and he's doing Hindu studies because he did his diploma there, and he says this course is so good. So he wants to do his PhD as well after that. So you do have students from 38 countries in a matter of 4 years. Many, 20% of my faculty are foreign faculty. What I do is, we need to look at institutions a little differently. One of the biggest challenge was to get faculty to stay in Bihar. So either you get youngsters fresh out of their PhD, or you get retired faculty. So what I did was, I did two things. One, I said that I will open the doors to the faculty to be visiting faculty. Come and teach for 1 semester. You like living here, then I'm going to extend it by 3 years or 1 year. And I have done that and most of them come from all over, from France, from Italy, from US, from Vietnam. I have a faculty who was teaching in Canada. She left Canada and came to Nalanda to teach. So we have faculty, international faculty from all over. Sustainable management, I have Google helping me drafting the course. So I have corporates, industrialists, as well as faculty teaching. So and the other thing I did was that we didn't have hostels when I went. Just as I didn't get a housing, we had hired 4 hotels. Each hotel has 22 rooms. That's about it. We hired 4 hotels to house the students. So every time people ask me, I would say, where do you house them? 2010 it came, 17, why was it not created? The land was given in 2009 by the Bihar government, 455 acres. That's one good thing Nitish Kumarji did, that he gave us land. But the other good thing I must say that he never interfered with my administration. 0 recommendations. Because I had made it very clear I don't go. If there is merit, tell me, I will look at it. But recommendations, I don't know. Because what will happen tomorrow? So courses, then I started short programs so that I capture the local imagination also. So now we have certificate diploma programs, we have capsule programs, 2 weeks. So we have all kinds of, right from remote sensing to Nalanda tradition, to Vedas, we have AI, different courses on sustainability, on management. Yeah, he did. I invited him for Dharma Dham conference, so he was there. See, even my worst critic has to appreciate. I may sound a little arrogant there, but the quantum of work, he was appreciated. The President of India was there, Kovindji was there, and then the Vice President was there. The governors have always come. There are no departments. We have schools. We have schools. There are no departments. We have school. Very good. Very good. But the budget was to come to a close in 2020. I got it extended. Yes, good budget. That's why we had to utilize it. I said, why are you returning back the funding to government? Sorry?
But after hearing to your meeting sessions and what the initiatives you took, we can term you as a modern guru of Nalanda University. You renovated Nalanda University.
Madam, actually, your
my former
presentation is
registrar.
fantastic. My name is Murli. I am from Vedavak Systems Limited Company. We are very much delighted that we are thankful to you for actually giving this gyan. And in 30 years, I think actually I've never heard. I heard Nalanda University, there was a doctor who did some treatment to one king, I don't know who was the king, without touching him. That was the history what we heard. And we could see our high degree appreciation for your entire effort, madam. Greetings to you.
I only feel sad that I could not get the name Bhaktiyarpur name removed, because my representations to the Chief Minister time and again were kindly change the name. Our oppressors cannot be named, you know. So, railway station, railway. Yeah. No, departments are within schools.
School
Within
means
schools-
students are studying means.
No, it's called School of Studies.
Yes, that's what.
School of Studies, like ecology and
So
advanced.
about how many schools are there?
We have, as per the mandate, 7 schools. International relations, I started 3 or 4 centers. One is Common Archival Resource Center, connecting East Asian, all our connections. Then I have Conflict and Resolution Peace Building Center. Then I have Bay of Bengal Studies Center.
From which age children, people come?
There's no age bar. I have a student who's 70-year-old.
That's.
Yes, anybody. You see the classrooms, you wouldn't want to step out.
Madam, good evening, madam. Are you getting any our Indian literature to get back to your university from China and other countries? Most of the books are translated to China and many languages in that time. Are you trying to get back that?
Repository, you mean? Those are translated into Chinese.
Yes, most
Our own texts were burnt by Bhaktiyar Khilji. But we have resources in Oxford and some of the other. I'm building a common archival resource center. The repository of knowledge which would be available at a click of a mouse. So that repository is being created in common archival. So it's a civilizational connect. Yes, that's going to happen. I think I have Joshiji and one after the other.
On behalf of everyone else and on my own behalf, you have given a very excellent presentation. This question is slightly away from, say, who has succeeded you?
Well, they're in charge, Professor.
That is my question. Individual institutions, individuals can make to certain extent, but unless we institutionalize the whole thing, again some friend may come who will
Destroy.
destroy the whole thing.
Another Bhaktiyar Khilji.
What is the institutional safeguard?
You know, when I talk about Indian culture and pedagogy and the policy making, I created policies. I generally say, if you have a good person at the helm, don't let him or her go. Because it's very important that you look at institutions as temples of learning that we have always thought about. And a temple cannot be defiled by people who lack in integrity and honesty. The basic ethos of education is to how to look at yourself. I had some government officials or somebody coming and saying, ma'am, you've created 200 structures. People could have earned a lot. I said, no, that's not the ethos, because I've got experts from different fields to sit on different. I have a net zero committee with all the stakeholders from all over India, experts from everywhere. No file can move without the expert's opinion. So integrity is the hallmark. But your question, I wish government was asking that, and they would look at it that. But it has its downside. You get one bad vice chancellor, and he will not leave or she will not leave, then the university is done to death. You don't need Bhaktiyar Khilji.
That's true, madam.
You don't need Bhaktiyar Khilji.
Thank you, madam. My name is Surya Gidigunta, and I'm the BRICS Chamber of Commerce Energy Convener. From your presentation, where it looks like you have achieved net zero much before than all the countries, rest of the world, because our targets are 2070 net zero.
2050.
2050 and 2030. But here, from there you don't have any classrooms, no hostel, nothing. You have completely transformed this place into a beautiful place with net zero, where you are generating your own solar power, recycling the water, wastage. So this could be a classic test case where you can showcase it to the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
And prove it this is the model university through which all the other universities and other countries can learn. So congratulations. I think your grit and determination is what made it possible. Thank you very much.
Namaste, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, standing ovation, please.
Some more questions. Wait.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am. I'm from accreditations and rankings.
Yes, let there be questions.
Yeah. So,
All right?
I am good with
Very good.
one thing, ma'am, we have created a great university. Have we got that, or have we applied for the Sustainable Campus Accreditation?
We have Griha, you have seen the awards, go back. This is the last thing I did. There's a huge,
Yeah, so,
minimized it. We
I'm
have
a-
Griha
For-
award. I was given an
Mike,
award in
Mike.
2022 in New York
Okay.
by the Green Mentors
Green metrics.
for
Green metrics.
sustainable, creating leadership for sustainability.
Okay.
So, yes.
Because, I have gone through some of the slides, I missed few.
Yeah.
One thing what we have missed is one of our strength is astronomy. And we did not had a relevant association in the astronomy even with our local, Indian ISRO or even NASA or JBL. So some of the programs which we were strong, actually known, Nalanda is known for it, that was missing. And another thing, ma'am, I'm just with one example I want.
taken point.
Suppose if we take, farmers are far better than a scientist. We know that in agriculture.
Right.
But we are not appreciating or recognizing their knowledge, and we are not making them a credit-worthy people. I mean, we are not giving any certifications. So in the same way, if we make that India becomes 65% of our workforce is going to be a certified people who are going to have a recognition as well as a well pay. Here also what I could able to see is we have a lot of strengths, like, currently I'm just going through some of the ISRO programs, so I know the things, and I'm teaching to young children on astronomy and other things. And 2 of our children got into Arizona University where medicine with astronomy they are studying. So here,
Please conclude.
no, one point, ma'am. One point here is, have you made any credit courses which are credit transfers in this
Sit down, I'll
certification
give you
area?
all answers.
Excuse
I have
me,
3
ma'am.
or 4 questions.
Excuse me.
Right. Thank
Can
you.
we take all the questions and then I can answer?
Uh,
She's been, I don't
Yes.
have any women there, 2 of them have been
Just
raising-
one intervention with the highest amount of money that is spent per student is in the Marxist madrasa that is called Jawaharlal Nehru University. In that Marxist madrasa, the highest amount of government money is spent per student in the entire country. And how do you compare with that?
Well, JNU is an offer that I declined when I was at Nalanda because I thought I haven't completed my work at Nalanda. So carrots cannot be dangled when you're working. And JNU is nothing to be very proud of because it needs to be changed, the very ethos. And the less said, the better, Saab. I hope it's getting better now.
Yes, there is a lady vice chancellor there. That's why it is getting better.
Yeah. Can I,
Ma'am,
I'll take 2 more
I'm-
questions and then answer his
No, yes,
question.
let her ask.
Go ahead,
Madam.
please.
Amazing and mesmerizing speech, ma'am. Really, you are a role model to everybody. And my question is there any wing of translation process? Because I heard many old granthas available there. And just present generation, they don't know how to follow that because language problem. Is there, any technology you are using natural language processing to translate those granthas, ma'am?
Machine translation.
Just to bring it to availability of the entire world.
I'll take one more question. I'll answer all those in one.
This is related to the education system itself, right from pre. But the mess is made in schools which are extremely expensive, and government schools are running low because one of my PhD candidate, I insisted that he should work on foundation education and what are the flaws in foundation education. So schools are going amok in terms of making a mess of a child's mind. And unless we address the problem at school level, universities, I worked for 36 years in Osmania, and the mess that comes to us, we have to reconstruct in 5 years of your PhD program.
Madam, that's a very big problem
impossible.
about
So
education.
thank you, and I would urge the Nalanda curriculum to impact school education in India. Thank you.
I think you had your say.
Yeah, you said that India is the solution center. Hyderabad is the vaccine center. Nalanda should be the knowledge center. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let me start with the gentleman here. One, you spoke about awards. There are a number of acknowledgments and awards that Nalanda was given after I created it. So it would be there in my CV as well as, so that's taken care of. The acknowledgements have come not just from India, from overseas. So that's point number one. Point number two, you were asking whether the ISRO and whether astronomy and, what I've done is I've taken a Vastu Shastra, the geopathic stress zones, and astronomy combined, and Vastu Shastra, the experts come. Right now I have a professor from ISRO heading my ecology and environment. So there is a connection there. We've been able to do, not everything can be done in 5 or 6 years. So Nalanda is a work in progress. While we have laid very firm foundations, it needs to be. Dr. Joshiji's question was that, what next? Who has taken? So I don't know. That depends on government. What was your third question? Sorry?
I'll reframe it because...
No, please don't reframe it. You just be very crisp. Because I don't want long questions.
No. Do we have a credit transfer?
Oh, yes, I got it. We have, see, NEP came in 2020. My academic framework was 2018. We have a credit framework. We have credit transfers. We have joint degrees. We have co-tutel. All that is part of it, part of the course. So exit options, a management, you can exit with a diploma. So it's all there. It's very, very international. It's been made into a global curricula. I think that was a similar question coming from here. Schools, I think you should sit down, we can discuss. I think a lot of people are...
Last one.
Chairman.
Last point. One, we had a zero representation in performing arts from India in international accreditations. So that is one area where hardly any competition, but we are at least not entering into that area. If we enter into that, that's how we are going to get that visibility, exposure, as well as appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. We spoke about contribution, culture, right from Bollywood to cuisine. Indian Council for Cultural Relations, we look at our performing arts and traditions, and we take it very widely. And Nalanda, every year we do hold cultural events via my ICCR connection. So that's there. I think universities do have, they're not in limelight. Now translation, there was a very good question on, I started a course on world literature where translation studies is also there. So machine translation, I don't know, personally I am not very comfortable with that because they make the culture, the ethos, the meaning is lost. When you lose a language, you lose culture itself, So translators have to be they are also creative people. They need to be very good. As far as school education, I think we are dealing with higher education. I firmly believe that Indian government should think of having scholarships of free schooling till 10th or 12th. After that, no reservations. I stand by that because I think it's very important to look at how do you, merit is important. So maybe they should rethink.
We'll give one
Madam,
more
I have a
ovation
question.
And that's done for dinner. Dinner is arranged for all of you. One more ovation for her.
I have one question from a youngster. We'll take the last one.
Just for the information, ma'am, I am a student. I am from Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management, Institute Gwalior. So I want to ask that, is there any scope for tourism studies in
Yeah,
Nalanda?
we have a short program on tourism. We're planning that. So hopefully the new people will take it up. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sunaina ji. Now I request Aditya ji to please assist. We are going to present a small token of appreciation to Sunaina ji, and I request Padmanabhai ji to please present a memento and some curated books on behalf of Pragna Bharati. I now request Chandrakant ji to assist. I request Dr. T.H. Chowdhury to please present a token of appreciation to Padmanabhai garu. I now request B.S. Sharma ji, Vice President Pragna Bharati, to present the vote of thanks. And also a small announcement before that is that the feedback forms that have been provided to you, you can leave them at the table which is just outside the main door. Thank you.
It was in the agenda to propose vote of thanks. Should I need? Dr. Joshi ji has given a good vote of thanks and many people appreciated her. 5 years back, when Pragna Bharati celebrated its Silver Jubilee, she was heading the Silver Jubilee committee. And she was a fine person. The way she conducted planned the 1-year program, in between she left to Nalanda. Fine person means financially she helped us. Intellectually she has given tips. And networking she did, and event management. On her leadership, we had conducted many seminars on the Silver Jubilee function. Now we are celebrating 30 years, 5 years back. So you have to guide us, and coming back to our Pragna Bharati. So on behalf of Pragna Bharati and ASCII, I propose a vote of thanks to all of you. She would have come while working as Vice Chancellors. Many people have given a lot of suggestions to the way the audience participated. It's very wonderful. So after this feast, we want to honor with you dinner for your participation. So as an academic architect, she has developed a very beautiful PowerPoint presentation. Madam, this PowerPoint presentation, with your permission, we can take it to some districts. If you permit, we can, some institutions, like institutions, some academicians are there. You can invite her and propose it. Whenever we talk about the olden education system, we always remember Nalanda and Takshashila. We talk about that. So many people don't know what is it. So 6 months, one anti-national destroyed it. 6 years she had rebuilt that. For that, we owe a lot to you. So she is a bold lady, faced many problems, and the creativity also we could see in her presentation, the enthusiasm and the integrity. And Goddess Saraswati has helped her in this revival of this Nalanda Vishwavidyalaya once again. So once again, I thank her and welcome back to Hyderabad and Pragna Bharati team to guide us. And also we thank the ASCII, the Padmanabhaya ji, who is a part of Pragna Bharati's governing council also. So he's the host today, wonderful place. And thank you once again. And as announced earlier, please give us a slip. If you want to participate in our future programs, please write down. If you want to join in Pragna Bharati also, you can write down. And second thing is, we close the program with Janganamana, and also we have dinner later. Thank you very much once again to all. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद।